I'm going to look at it from multiple layers because there's so many things that I want to do this year. It's meant to inspire others. That's been the core of my being for the longest time, and it's meant to open doors for others. So if there's anything you can take away from this is Underrated Individuals is a company that is focused on helping underutilized talent realize its full potential. We do that through many ways. One is by putting shows together where underrepresented or underrated individuals can actually get platform to showcase what they do and work with a community or a team of people that helps them get the best out of what they do. Another thing is we also have a workbook that I've been working on for a while, which is called the Artist Business Canvas, where we take your passion and we help you turn it into a sustainable business. So we provide resources to help creatives get in the game. So that's kind of like the big picture. And this year we've got a lot going on. So without me spending too much time, let's dive in. And I'm going to go through this in layers.
Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace and run. Pick up the pace and run. Pick up the, 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 pick. I'ma switch up the tone.
As I said, the big picture, Underrated Individuals Limited, empowering underrated individuals to realize their full potential. Our objective as a company is story equity. And we aim to empower more creatives on the African continent by providing them with a network and resources to help them get their business off the ground. If this sounds like something for you, hit us up. It's very simple. hello@ui-grp.com. And yeah, we'll share the resources I spoke about, which is the Artist Business Canvas, and we'll connect. And hopefully you can be part of our community. It started off as Al-Kebulan, and I know there's a lot of stuff coming up to do with Al-Kebulan, which means the cradle of mankind. And somebody from back home, a fellow creative, she decided to change her movie from Africana to Al-Kebulan. And I tried to have a conversation with them and their team and got shrugged off. So, that being said, we've moved on. Copper Bullet is what we're calling it now. And it is power meets narcos, but for Africa. And I want as many of you people to hear these stories as possible. It started with my uncle and them trying to do this cobalt move. Didn't work. Let's see what happens. So if you're interested in this, make sure you hit us up and say, yo, Copper Bullet, I want in. And there's a little trailer on YouTube on our Underrated Individuals group. Underrated Individuals TV on YouTube. You can go and watch the trailer there. Or check out any of our social media pages. And the trailers everywhere. But if you like what you're hearing, drop a comment and get involved. Part of that is our youngest character. Her name's Mikaela. And we've started to develop some of the stories from her perspective, and we've turned them into a children's book that talks about community, that talks about family, talks about some of the things that kids get up to on the African continent. That just makes it a little bit more, and that farm rural, setup. It's about environmental security. There's so many elements in there. So the first book will be available. It's probably available right now. So check out the link or the description. Click that link that says Mikaela's Adventures, or it'll say Mikaela and the Chicken Thief, because that's the first one we're putting out. We've got another one coming soon. So click on that. Check out the book. Drop us a comment as well after you've read it. Send us pictures, because we always say, we put stuff out going, look, people are supporting the movement. And every time somebody makes a purchase of any of the content or merchandise, we take that money and we throw it back into development so that we can grow those stories and grow those worlds. Our second flagship project is one called Rise of the Ancients. This is in partnership with one of my good friends. I've never met this man before, but for some odd reason, you just know when you trust somebody because, like, yeah, his name's Lord. Lord Osei Ofori. He's Ghanaian, American. Based in America, works for a big company. I don't want to say too much. But yeah, he's my business partner on this one. And it's our brand. And think Arcane meets Studio Ghibli. We wanted to be an animated series to start with. And who knows, it might grow into an actual movie, something like The Lord of the Rings or something along those lines. But it's to do with African folklore and mythology. This thing we feel is going to just change so many people's lives and how they look at where we've come from. And it's about us being able to do the necessary research to write a fictional story that still helps others look into their own backgrounds and inspires them to look into their own backgrounds. We've got a children's book for this as well to get the ball rolling, and that's going to be called the Borosai Tales. The Borosai are a traveling nomadic group who are actually the nomadic group in the world we're building, the Rise of the Ancients world. We call it ROTA for short. But yeah, in that world, the Borosai are the nomadic group that carry all of our stories and keep all of our traditions and connect us to the gods. I'm going to leave that there. So those are like the two flagships. With ROTA, I'm thinking about doing a live show, but I'm not going to say too much about that. That's between us. Cirque du Soleil kind of African. Yeah, you get the vibe. I started to connect with a few friends in Zambia about what I was up to, and they were like, "Oh, you need to meet this lovely, beautiful spirit." And without me saying too much, she had an idea, but just wasn't in the space to actually execute the idea. And I feel that I would love to bring her story to life, and it's to do with the first president of Zambia. So I'm not going to say too much about her project. I'm not going to say her name in case people start to trouble her. But she introduced me to the president's son, the late president's son, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Kaweche Kaunda. And Uncle Kaweche was so honest and so open. He gifted underrated individuals an interview. We managed to interview him on our podcast, and that has done extremely well. It's got over like 13,000 streams in like the space of like a month and a bit, maybe 2 months. And he told us a story about the pigeonhole, and I wrote a short film titled The Pigeonhole Bicycle. So pigeonhole window was the window for the black Africans, and back in like colonial times, and by black I mean just people of color. Let's leave it at that because colored people probably had to use this pigeonhole to purchase goods. You couldn't go into the white front stores. You had to go behind and purchase through. And there's a story about Dr. Kenneth Kaunda trying to purchase a bicycle, walks into the main shop, gets shoved round, ushered round, and then has to purchase this bicycle through this window. Without me saying much, I want to tell that story because I think it's cool. There's more to the story, but let's not give away too much. It's kind of a historical drama, but it's not a remake. It is taking what we've heard and altering it to make it entertaining as well. The logline for this is, in 1940s colonial Zambia, young Kenneth Kaunda's attempt to buy a bicycle through a discriminatory pigeonhole system becomes a powerful metaphor for his nation's struggle for independence, inspiring a lifelong journey from school teacher to president. One of the extracts from this, which is a line that I felt like, until we can fit the bicycle through the pigeonhole, the struggle continues. I'm leaving it there. Another one that I'm working on is a short film called Meyer. And Meyer is a measurement of time. It's meant to be like 1,000,000 years. But Meyer whispers of a wired continent. So I'm going to read the logline and we'll get into it. The logline reads: in a rapidly evolving African metropolis, a brilliant tech visionary disguises herself as a mad woman to spread her radical ideas about a pan-African digital revolution, culminating in a dramatic reveal that challenges the continent's technological future. So it is a little bit more intricate to do with the future and what tech looks like on the continent. And with the company that I'm trying to build, which is a tech company, I'm heavily ingrained in thinking about what the future of Africa looks like from a tech perspective. So, without saying much, those are the two short films that I want to develop of ours that are internal to underrated individuals. There's three other short films from three creatives who last year submitted, and they were good stories. We just haven't been able to find the funding for them. But this year, I want to bring those three stories to life. One is a Kenyan guy called Sikuku, and his is to do with this idea of generational seeds. It's amazing, and I'm not going to say too much. You can check that out on the Underrated Individuals page. Okoli, who's a Nigerian filmmaker, and his is just a really cool urban kind of masked thief idea. And then the last is meant to be also another animation sequence by Gina, and hers is to do with, again, environmental security, and you can check them all up. It's called The Guardian of Therapina or Therapuna. And you can check these all out on our Underrated Individuals page, Underrated Individuals TV. And they've got little kind of what we would call, not decks, but little micro presentations that help you understand their concepts. If you like any of those, comment and get into that. One of the biggest projects is How to Keep It Moving. And it's meant to be kind of like a biography, but not really one about too much just about my life. It's about the lessons. So long story short, I was adopted at the age of 2 weeks. My mom had me when she was 13, and then she had a sister. I've got other sisters. So I've got about 4 sisters that are my biological sisters. I've met 3. I haven't met the one that I wrote this book with. She's based in Vancouver, Canada. And Nyarai, I call her Tamara because that's her second name, and that's how I first was introduced to her. So Tamara is she's like a year younger than me. She's not even that, like, we're close, very close in age. And when I found out about her, I contacted her dad and them on Facebook, and then they put us in touch, and we started to talk more, and we started to talk online. And I said to her, because she's into writing, I was like, oh, I've got stuff I'm working on, and I really think it would be nice for me to write something with you. So this year, I want to bring this book to life. It was me sharing lessons with my sister where I could let her know more about me without it being like a lecture. It was like, oh, let me tell you about what I've been through and why I think the way I think. And it might help you, it might not, but if there's anything that it does do, I hope it connects us, which I feel it did do. So this year, besides going to go and see my sister, I want to bring this book to life. I want to finish it off. We've got a really nice manuscript. I just want to expand on it to make it a little bit more of a book. There's now growing the media network, and this is regarding underrated individuals, direct projects. So the first would be our podcast segments of Underrated Individuals podcast. It's already seen 25,000 views across, I think, four episodes. And all we're doing is we're sharing stories from what I call marginalized heroes. So people from backgrounds and people from spaces that are being overlooked, but they're doing amazing things. And we've interviewed a guy called David Kazadi, who is doing amazing things in Zambia. There's Ali Gari, who is a scout based in London, and he's also helped so many footballers like have some sort of professional careers and taken so many kids off the streets by creating this initiative where he gets to actually connect with their families and bring them together. And then another person that we got to interview was Kawachakonda, the first president of Zambia's son, and get his story about history in Zambia and being a president's son. The ROTA podcast is another one that we're trying to develop, which is where we're going to be sharing most of the research that we're doing for ROTA, the actual kids book, and Borosai, the Tales of the Borosai, the Borosai Tales, and ROTA, the animation series. So as we're trying to build and develop, we're going to put the podcast together and do the research and then share that research. Excuse me. Another thing we've been working on is one called Concrete Stories, which is a mobile podcast where we go to compounds. We're hoping to go to more ghettos, whatever you guys would call it. Here in the UK, the equivalent would be council estates. And I think in America, it would be the hood, the ghettos, the Bronx. Based off, I've never been, so I'm just saying it sounds more like, Compton. It would be those type of spaces, and then speaking to people in those spaces who are trying to empower their communities and can see the problems that are there and are genuinely doing everything in their power to just change those like a lot of those people's situations. So that's on location interviews in communities. We're hoping worldwide, helping dreams come to life. And those are us growing the network. With my last personal bonus special project is the creation of Afroton. I've been speaking about Afroton now for 2021. 2021, I went on this thing where I was going to release a track a day for the whole year, and I did it for 3 months. And I was like, wow, there's so much about music I need to learn, and I need to hone before I can come back to the world, because I started to hear sound start to develop. And by the end of 2021, I created this track called Chamomile and Honey. And that was the embodiment of what I feel Afrotone was going to become, but there were elements missing. So I stopped myself, developed all of this other stuff, started working my business. And now I feel it's a good year for me to get back on the Afrotone vibes. Afrotone is meant to be connected to nature, yourself, reggaeton, kizomba, multiple different African elements. But yeah, with that dunka beat, so yeah, so that I want to bring that to life, and hopefully in the first quarter I'm going to release the first single, and in the second quarter I want to try and at least record and release an EP. But for now, we're going to focus on the first quarter and just getting that one song that embodies what I hope Afrotone will sound like for many people for many a year. And it's a genre I'm creating, so please stay close and give me insights as to what you like and what you don't like. I'll be posting snippets on this YouTube channel where I express this Afrotone. We're developing a tech platform, and the hope is to get somebody on board, a VC they call it, so a venture capitalist firm, to come on board and supply us with enough startup capital for us to then build what they would call an MVP, a minimum viable product, where it's going to be an AI system where people, creatives, storytellers from all over the world can utilize that tool to then partner with it, and it can gift them structure and help them create something that they can take to market as quick as possible. So you might type in, I want to write an album, and then the AI system will go, okay, what does your album sound like? And it's like, oh, it sounds like this, and then it will carry on prompting, giving you questions that you would then answer, and then it would help you refine your idea. And eventually it'll be like, okay, here's a plan of action for you to actually start recording. And it'll ask you the necessary questions to get you in the state where you've planned enough to then get something going, basically. Or if you wanted to build a TV series, it might ask you more questions and go, okay, are you able to write short stories and put those out? Could it be a podcast? Is that something that you have access to? Is that something that you could do? Because you need to do research, you need to do this. Could it be a comic book? Are you good at that? Are you good at illustrating? So we're going to help the creative understand what resources they have and what questions they need to be asking themselves in order for their ideas to take fruition. And we're trying to come up with a tech solution for that. So that's the big vision. But my call to action right now would be, if you believe in empowering people, like I believe in empowering people, go ahead, check out Mikaela's book in the link below. Purchase that, because by you purchasing that, you're directly supporting us. Tell more friends and stuff to buy it so that we can keep on accumulating some sort of income and pumping it back into the system. Stay tuned for the Borosai Tales, because that's another way you can also, as I said, purchase, and that money goes straight back into what we're doing in terms of Rise of the Ancients. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure any videos that come out on Jerome Arab or Underrated Individuals TV, you're there. We're going to start our Underrated Individuals Kids, because we're going to take some of the content we're doing for Mikaela and the Borosai Tales and put it on there for kids to be able to access the learning materials. Last but not least, share this video and share a lot of the other videos that resonate with you. Tell your friends, tell your family. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm doing it from my bed because I've been sick. I had chicken pox. My son gave it to me. I wish I could show you guys. It's quite bad. And so I'm trying my utmost best to just carry on working through this hardship and this feeling. And it's hard, but we have to do what we have to do. So if you've enjoyed this and if this has helped you and you're excited and as excited as I am, just me saying thank you for being present. And remember, stay underrated, but never underrated.
Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace and run. Pick up the pace and run. Pick up the, 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 I'ma switch up the tone, kill them in my zone.